Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I guess good morning to our participants from Jakarta, Indonesia. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's event, highlighting the investment opportunities in Indonesia's mining sector. My name is Dan Bowman, and I'm a director of Batik Resources Limited, a Canadian exploration company operating in Indonesia. I'd like to acknowledge the kind assistance and participation of the Consulate General of Indonesia in Vancouver, the Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, and the Indonesian Ministry for Investment to organize this event. We have a very high-level group of speakers this morning, including the Consul General of Indonesia in Vancouver, the Director of Mineral and Coal Revenue, and the Director of the Indonesian Investment Promotion Center in New York. We also have industry representatives, including the President Director of Sumbawa Timur Mining and the Commercial Director of MKU Services, LLC. I'll give a more detailed introduction of each speaker before their remarks. Each speaker will give an approximately 15-minute presentation, followed by a question and answer session. I'd ask the participants to use the chat box on the Zoom screen. It's in the lower middle part of the screen to enter your questions during the presentations. We'll entertain the questions after the presentations are over. Please include your name and affiliation with your questions. And if you note your questions beforehand, it'll give our speakers some time to prepare an informative response. Indonesia is ranked by the Fraser Mining Institute study as one of the most prospective places on Earth. It's home to the world's largest combined copper and gold mine, one of the world's largest laterite nickel deposits, and the world's largest tin producer. It is also a country that has encouraged and fostered downstream investment in copper and nickel smelters and has plans to develop rare earths processing. With its recent comprehensive economic partnership agreement with Australia and one planned for Canada currently being negotiated, Indonesia is also making it easier for mining services company to enter the Indonesian mining space. As can be seen from this event, Indonesia is also reaching out through events like this to demonstrate its desire to welcome foreign investors. I'm sure you're going to find these presentations interesting and informative. I believe we have already played the video. We won't be playing that again, will we? Okay. So
yes, we will. It's going to be a different video.
Oh, it's a
yes.
different video. Okay, yes. We're going to begin with a short video on Indonesian mining investment, which will begin now.
The Republic of Indonesia is known for its abundance of mineral, precious metal deposits among many others. Indonesia produces around 5% of the world's gold production. The biggest nickel reserve in the world accounted for 4% of the world's bauxite reserves. The government is promoting its best mining investment opportunities and has made several groundbreaking changes on the systems and regulations to further promote the national economy through foreign investments, such as introducing a centralized online platform for business licensing, online platform for tax filing/payment, transferable business permit ownership in between mining stages, and many others. The investment opportunities promoted by the government covers various stages starting from greenfield opportunities, mining projects to refining projects. In the greenfield stages, the government is promoting a total of 18 blocks in gold, nickel and bauxite, most of which are adjacent to other mining projects, allowing better access to the blocks for logistics and transportation. In the mining stages, the government is promoting 3 of its highest potential gold and copper mining projects spread across 6 blocks. Lastly, in the downstream stages, the government is promoting 5 nickel smelter and 1 coal to methanol refining projects, all with strategic locations.
Indonesian government already published Mineral and Coal Law Number 3, 2020, which amend the previous Mineral and Coal Law Number 4, 2009. The new law contains 4 key points. 1. Centralized mining authority. 2. Transfer of licenses and shares and divestment of foreign ownership. 3. New obligation and incentives for mining permit holders. 4. Continuation of operation of contract of work and coal contract of work. The Law Number 3, 2020 can overcome some problems which were not covered by previous law and can strengthen good mining practices and to assure legal certainty to all stakeholders in mining sectors.
The Republic of Indonesia welcomes you with open arms to invest and be a part of the successful economic growth as we build the foundation towards a better tomorrow.
Thank you. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Pak Hendra Halim. Pak Hendra was appointed Consul General of Indonesia in Vancouver in July 2021 and has held positions of increasing responsibility within the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs since 1995. He has a BA in economics from the University of Jambi and a master's degree in international trade from Monash and ANU universities. Pak Hendra, thank you for being present here, and please let us know your remarks.
Thank you, Pak Dan. Thank you, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to convey my best wishes to all of you speakers and participants to this Roundtable Indonesia Mining and Metal Investment. And I also like to extend my utmost appreciation to the Indonesian Ministry of Mining and Mineral Resources, Indonesia Ministry of Investment or BKPM, and MKO Services for the great collaboration with Indonesian government representative in Canada, especially in Vancouver, Ottawa, and Toronto. As we come from multiple zones, I would like to, from here in Canada and Indonesia, United States, I will try to keep my opening remarks very brief and concise. And ladies and gentlemen, to start, I think my remarks, I like to highlight several points to find our common grounds and understanding why this forum is very important to us, especially to here in Canada. First point, I would like to highlight a little bit about Indonesia and Canada relationship. Economic cooperation between two countries become a priority, and both governments continue to strengthen their commitments to expand bilateral trade and investment, promoting open and resilient supply chains, and creating new business opportunities to stimulate economic recovery from COVID-19. We observe economic ties between Indonesia and Canada continues demonstrating promising figures for a couple of years. For the period 2015-2020, Indonesia is the second largest destination for Canada foreign direct investment in Southeast Asia. And Canada investment in Indonesia also ranks 19. Trade relations between two countries continue to grow, and Indonesia steadily become Canada's main export market. The launching of Indonesia-Canada Comprehensive Economic Partnership last summer and also ASEAN-Canada Comprehensive Economic Partnership last week will be tremendously opportunity for business community in Canada and Indonesia to strengthen their business ties. Second, I would like to highlight about business experience. We observe the most Canadian investment in Indonesia has been dominated in natural and oil and gas. At least 4 or 5 years, this investment more than 80% of the total Canadian investment in Indonesia. We have to admit that figure reflects that Canadian companies have business experience in Indonesia, and to a certain extent, they view that Indonesia offers a sizable mining, coal, gas, and minerals. And through their experience, we would like to through the present, and I would in this part, we do hope that the present Canadian Canadian company in Indonesia could encourage their business counterpart in Canada to make investment in Indonesia. And the third, about business perspective, this is very important. We are glad to witness that business stakeholders and from countries have better understanding on business opportunity in Canada and Indonesia. But only few of them express their interest to do business. It is because of a lack understanding about how doing business, or some of them still have misinterpretation due to disinformation from anonymous resources. In this part, it's my sincere belief that our speakers in this event will guide you, will share further with all of us, potential investors, technology vendors, and mining services company with appropriate understanding on exclusive information on business and investment opportunities in Indonesia, including on mining projects and smelting facilities, and along with applicable financial incentives. Through this discussion or forum, we also obtain key aspect and country-specific information for the mining sectors, rules for decision-making and potential risks of which Canadian companies should be aware. To move beyond business as usual, I highly recommend that this virtual roundtable will conclude with general mechanism and concrete steps to follow up the meeting recommendations, such as enacting policies, regulation, and other relevant issues that will further enhance the investment climate on the mining sectors in Indonesia. Establishing a platform for networking between potential investors, technology, vendors, and mining companies in the North American region. And for sure, I would like to again reiterate our support from Indonesian government representative, Embassy of Indonesia in Ottawa, the Consulate of Indonesia in Vancouver and Toronto to support this event. And we do hope this is not only one of event, because we see many potential from Canadian investors to bring their experience and their business to Indonesia. I thank you.
Thank you, Mahendra. Yes, I think there's a lot of potential for Canadian investment in Indonesia, especially with the treaty that will be negotiated for the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Now I'd like to welcome Dr. Mohammed Wafid, the Director of Mineral and Coal Revenue from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. Dr. Mohammed has a doctorate in Earth and Planetary Science from the University of Kyoto and has held various positions at the ministry since 2016, including as head of the Geological Research Center. So this is the person who has in-depth technical knowledge about the mining industry in Indonesia, and I'm sure you'll find his presentation very informative. Please go ahead, Doctor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Unfortunately, Mr. Wafid do some problem with his health, so he cannot attend. This is a very evening in Jakarta, actually. So I would like to represent him, and Director General, Mr. Ridwan, also already assigned me to represent him to deliver his presentations that actually was planned to be conducted by Mr. Ridwan. So let me representing Mr. Ridwan Jamaluddin as Director General to read the keynote speech of Director General Mineral and Coal about mining and metal investment opportunity in Indonesia. So Excellency Consul General of Republic Indonesia for Canada, Mr. Hendra Halim, distinguished Deputy Chairman, which is representing by the Director of IAPC in New York, and also distinguished speaker and a moderator, and also the audience. This is very late evening actually in Jakarta, so it's quite tough. So I will. I'm not reading all the keynote speech actually by Consul General, because I see the audience is also not really much from Canadian. So I will send some important informations from every slide that we want to convey to the Canadian companies right now. So I will try to wait. All right. So let me first go to the first slide. I will send. There are two main idea that we want to convey in this precious event in Vancouver. We will try to inform about the transformations in Indonesian mining law and also why you should invest mining in Indonesia. So let's go to number one first. Last year, Indonesia just enactment a new mining law, which is so-called as Law Number 3, year 2020. There are four things that really important to know about what is the the things that not regulate in the previous mining law. So in this mining law, we want to strengthen the good mining practice and also giving the certainty to the mining permit holder. The first important thing is we are currently centralized mining authority. So we want to assure that all the mining permit holder has very similar services and also similar procedures in every sections in Indonesia. And the second is we also allow the transfer of license and share, and also we gradually divest for the foreign investment. We also allow the foreign investor to divest gradually to the central government or to the regional government or to state-owned companies. And currently, we have also the new obligations and incentive for mining permit holder. The obligations is to carry out the reclamations during the mining business period and also give the strict sanctions for the violators. This is very new. We give the sanctions for the violators, and also we give the incentive for mining license who are conducting integrated processing, and we will give the guarantee of license extensions in accordance with the life of mine. Since you have a reserve, so you can go through until the reserve is diminished. There are no limited of time if you build the integrated processing and refining domestically. And also we give the certainty to for continuations of operations for contract of work in the form of the special mining licenses. Next. So these are the several factors that have to consider for you why you should invest mining in Indonesia. Next. Indonesia has a very key player in the global market in terms of the reserve and also in terms of the productions. For nickel, we are the first, and also for the productions also the biggest productions nickels in the world. For bauxite, also we are in the 10 top of the reserve and also for the productions. For the tin, we are the second, and also the second for the reserve and also for the productions. And as we can see here, that Indonesia is a key player to the global markets also. Next. And why you should invest in mining in Indonesia? Currently, we have a lot of mining permit holders already operated, and some are operated by the foreign and very experienced multinational companies already established also in Indonesia. At least 100 of mining licenses already operated. So right now we are ready to develop and ready to contribute more to the globals. Next, please. And Indonesia, based on the report for the World McKinsey and also from several reports from the international companies, Indonesia has a very competitive in terms of the production cost. As you can see here, for nickel, the production cost, the cash cost is only 3.6 USD per pound compared to the global, which is need 5 USD per pound. and also for the copper, we really competitive in terms of the production cost in around at 1.3 or 1.3 USD per pound, and compared to the global almost $2 US per pound. So this is called because of we are an archipelago country, so we have a very good access for the transportations to transport all the minerals, and also we are having a very the availability of the energy is also very competitive in Indonesia. Next. And Indonesia is compliant to the international standard and regulations in terms of the environmental and safety standard. In lumber, we have at least for the environmental aspect, there are 3 laws that that rules about the environmental. Law number 32 that to ensure the good mining practices, and government also supervise and monitor the compliance of the environmental standard. And in the law number 3 also there are some obligations for the reclamation and post mining. And in the forestry areas also many activities may perform in forest area, but through leasehold of forest area license, which is so-called as IPPKH. And next. And yeah, we commit to the zero accident. We have an adequate numbers of the mine inspector, and we inspect all the in terms of the occupational health and safety, operational safety, and also mining safety. And we measure the indicators of these parameters by online systems that we can control about is there any lost time injured in several companies or not, and we monitor in real time. Next. In terms of the labor availability, we have more than 23,000 engineers, which is graduate from the mining engineers, metallurgical, geophysical engineers, and geological engineers, which is ready to cooperate and with you all, Investor Canada, to develop mining Indonesia. Next. And we Indonesia also boosting the explorations and investments. The governments provide the certainty of law and guarantee, and mining companies are also carry out. We oblige the mining permit holder to do the advanced explorations to increase the reserve number or to maintain the reserve replacement ratio. And the government also give the exploration assignment, which is this is a very new scheme to push the explorations activities in Indonesia. And we also encourage also the junior mining companies to apply for the exploration assignment and participate in the mining areas auctions. And right as we currently doing this event, the government also promote the mining investment in Indonesia to the investors around the world. Next. And how about then the commitment in the government of Indonesia to clean energy? As we are one of the nations that signed in the Paris Agreement, and then in the last month, and in the beginning of this November, we are also the presidents of Indonesia also attend to the COP26, and Indonesia, as mentioned from our ministers. And the Republic of Indonesia endorsing clause number 1, 2, and 4, which is deployment of clean power generations, energy efficiency, scale up technologies and policies, and strengthen domestic and international efforts. and Indonesia signs up to the COP26 call to clean power transportation statement, excluding clause number 3, but as part of its commitment to reach net zero by 2060 or sooner. With international assistance, Indonesia will consider accelerating coal phase out into 2040s, conditional on agreeing additional international financial and technical assistance. So this is the commitment of Indonesia to reduce also the increasing of the global warming, the global temperature. Next. And as part of important things in terms of the transformations of energy, for the clean energy, much of materials needed from rare earth minerals, rare earth metals, and Indonesia has an availability and resource indicate some resource and in some place in Indonesia. As we can see here, that there are, for the indications, availability and resource, there are several locations. For example, in the North Sumatra, we have rare earth laterite resources and 20,000 tons in terms of resource. And in the West Kalimantan also, there are some resource number at 219 tons. For the Central Sulawesi, rare earth laterite resource also 443 tons. And in Bangka Belitung, we have a rare earth mineral resources in terms of monazite and xenotime, and we have quite abundant number in terms of monazite and xenotime. Next. Okay, this is my last part of my presentations. As we can see, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentations, that we centralize all the license, and according to the law number 3, mining business is carried out based on business permit from the central government only, and one of them is license. So there are 9 licenses which right now already taken by the central government. So the mining permit for the investors is just come to the to only come to the central government, and then we will provide all the license centralized in the central government. So I think that's all my presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attentions, and I would really happy to discuss further with you later on after all the presenters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Dudi, for your informative presentation. And I'm sorry to introduce you as Dr. Mohammed. You now have a doctorate from a Japanese university, so congratulations. We did have a question for you that was brought from the floor. Under the mining law number 3, and also under PP 96, could you talk a little bit about what gradual divestment means of foreign ownership? That's a question that's on the minds of many investors about how they have to divest their shares to the various recipients. There's quite a mechanism for that.
All right, so later I can show you the slide of the gradual the divestment illustrations. I will provide later on. So because Ade, could you please also if you have some illustrations that we already provide actually, but okay, so on GR 96, it's already stipulated that the divestment scheme is gradually based on by considering by considering 2 types, two parameters. First, the method of the mining. If you are working with the open pit, and it is much less, it is lesser investment than the underground. So underground has the divestment scheme a little bit late than open pit. And if you build the refineries facilities in Indonesia, so you also have some facilities which is the divestment starting from the more late years, and even more even close to the end of the permit license permit. So but the number in total, they have to be 51%, but it's compared to previous, we do with a very soft gradual divestment scheme, Mr. Dan Bowman.
Thank you very much for that. One thing I might want to add is that, as I understand it, the divestment is at fair market value, which is an issue that has been important to foreign investors. Could you confirm that that is correct, that the divestment is at the fair market value of the shares?
Yes, correct, Mr. Dan. The divestment is based on the market value, so you don't need to worry about the numbers of the share of the price, because there are two approaches, right? First, based on the market value, and the second is based on the disconto DCF calculations. So most of the divestments is based on the market value basis. So the divestment, the share will be bought by the state-owned company based on the market value. So you don't need to worry.
Great, thank you very much. Yes, the divestment provisions are fairly complicated, but they are an improvement over the previous law, which did not totally spell out what had to happen. Now the mechanism is quite clear. Okay, were there any other questions? Okay, well, why don't I introduce our next speaker then. I'd like to welcome Pa Muhammad Iqbal. Pa Iqbal is the director of the Indonesia Investment Promotion Center in New York, which is an arm of the Indonesian Investment Board, or BKPM. Pa Iqbal comes from the private sector, previously holding positions at E-Trading Securities and GE Consumer Finance. He has a master's degree in management from Gadjah Mada University. Pa Iqbal, welcome, and please let us have your presentation.
You're breaking up a little bit, Pa Iqbal.
Sedikit putus, Pak.
Okay, now
A little bit better.
Pak Den.
Yes, you're breaking up still a little bit. Should we move to our next presenter and let you try and resolve your connection problems? Maybe you could log out and then log back in, and maybe the connection would be a bit better. Yeah, why don't we try that? Okay. Well, we're moving up our presentation from our next presenter.
Now,
Still a bit putus, Pak. Still a bit putus. Okay. All right. Why don't we move on to our next presenter, Mr. Bade Evans. Bade is the president director of Sumbawa Timur Mining in Indonesia. Sumbawa Timur Mining is an affiliate of the Brazilian mining major Vale. Bade has been in Indonesia and associated with Indonesia for a very long time and has held various positions at Vale, including as its sustainability manager. He has degrees from the University of London and the University of Queensland, including a degree in epidemiology. Bade, if you could make your presentation, we would appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate that introduction. Now, I assume you can hear me well?
Yes.
Thank you. That was very welcomed and I appreciate it. Pahendra, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I hope all is well in Canada. And Pahendri, it's good to see you again, and thank you for the opportunity to speak at such a prestigious forum. And ladies and gentlemen, I very much am pleased to have the opportunity to speak here. I'm very happy to be speaking about Sembao Timber Mining and the WHO project. Before I get into the details, you will hear me say a couple of acronyms and various words, so I'll just explain them at the beginning. You'll hear me say STM, so that stands for Sembao Timber Mining. You'll hear me say the WHO projects, so that's the 7th generation contract of work that we have with the joint venture holds. And you'll also hear me talk about the Onto deposit, which I'll describe later in the presentation. Once again, it is a pleasure to be able to present this. I'll go through quite quickly and welcome opportunities for questions at the end. Now, Sembao Timber Mining, STM, as I said, it's a joint venture, privately owned Indonesian company. 80% is owned by an Australian entity, wholly owned by Vale, the Brazilian-based mining company, and 20% is owned by Aneka Tambang, or Antam, the Indonesian government mining entity. We operate under, of course, quite a robust shareholder agreement with articles of association. We have board of directors, board of commissioners that govern the operations of the company. It's and what I apologize here is I don't have a map indicating the location of our site. Now, I think we all here know Indonesia quite well, and we are on the island of Sembao, so I think everyone here knows Batu Hijau. We're about 170 kilometres to the east of Batu Hijau, along that southern coastline of the island. Once again, it is a 7th generation contract of work that the joint venture owns. That was amended in accordance with the new mining law in around May, Andre, if I'm sure, in 2019, unless I'm wrong. If I could move to the next slide, I'm going to give you a very quick summary of some of our journey. And this, believe me, this is a very abridged or shortened summary. The joint venture with the Vale side of the I guess JV, Vale entered around 2009, and exploration started in late 2010. A very small exploration program involving 2 to 3 rigs, and there were ups and downs in terms of exploration interest, success, I guess you would say. In around August 2013, there was a very exciting drill intercept. And if you are looking for information on that, type in www.sembaotimbermining.co.id and you'll be able to download our mineral resource estimate statement, which gives the details of some of the intercepts that we've made and the resource estimate that we've disclosed. And since that discovery in August 2013, we've really been focused on, I guess, drilling out the deposit, but also very much focused on the hydrogeological, geotechnical aspects of it. We did, as I alluded to before, renegotiate successfully with DGMC, renegotiate or amend our contract of work in May 2019. And since that time, since May, we've been very much operating at a very high capacity since that time. We were impacted slightly by COVID. I think a lot of companies were, but for the last 6 months and certainly into next year, we're seeing a considerable ramp up in our activities at site, our personnel at site. So it's quite a up and down journey. This is very, very simplistic overview. As you can imagine, there've been a few bumps on the road, but it's been a very exciting journey, to say the least. Next slide, please. Now, obviously, a few people here will have some questions about the Onto deposit. And to say it's exciting is probably an understatement. We're talking about a high-grade, high-tonnage deposit, 1.7 billion tonnes at just under 0.9% copper and 0.5, just under 0.5 grams per tonne of gold. The recent engineering studies that we've been doing, and certainly we, after the FEL 1 study, initial study that we did in, when was that? May, June 2019. Since then, we've been advancing the pre-feasibility study. We're now looking at around more than 50-year mine life with production up around at full capacity, 36 million tonnes per annum. It's looking very successful. And sorry, what is not indicated here is that we are looking at an underground block cave mining operation. If I could move to the next slide, and this is probably one of the points that I would like to highlight, is that the vision for STM, and you'll see that we don't particularly represent either of the shareholders. We have our own identity, I guess, is that we do have a vision for the company in Indonesia. We see ourselves as being certainly a national strategic asset. We see ourselves as being a significant contributor to the local economy, particularly in the district and regency in which we work. The nature of the deposit means that we've had to ourselves develop new skills, and also as part of the natural path that you go down on project development, have had to transfer a lot of skills onto various Indonesian companies and contractors. And most importantly, we're very proud of our community development program and the work that we do locally and the relationships that we have with government. And so when we are approaching government and we're dealing with DGMC or the provincial government, we're presenting these kind of slides and presenting what we believe is a shared vision. And we think that this is important, that it creates collective ownership over the project. And it's something that we certainly as a team value highly. If I could move to the next slide, and what I would say in recent times, and I'm very confident in saying this, but also quite pleased to do so, is that we've, over the last 18 to 24 months, seen a very tangible change in the investment climate in Indonesia. And this we see as being very positive. I can't, certainly with the omnibus law and the regulations that followed following it, they've provided a lot of clarity where ambiguity was in some regulations, but they've also simplified some of the processes that caused companies some of those issues. And so we're very much excited by what these regulations provide and hope that this is, I guess, a basis for further reform that will generate and stimulate that investment climate. We place incredible importance on building relationships and having relationships with government. And this involves all levels of government. We have an extensive community relations team at the local level. We work very closely with the Regency government, particularly Dompu Regency. We've built extensive relationships at the provincial level, and our relationship with DGMC, I can sit here with Pa Andre and say that it's a very, very good relationship and something that I think has benefited both parties. This is something that I'd be saying to anyone considering investing in Indonesia, that this is one of the more important things that you have to take into account. It's something, again, that we place incredible importance in. What has changed is not only the importance of those relationships, but there is much more tangible support, certainly over the last 24 months, that supports the investment, that supports the project. At the provincial level, where there were at times years ago, we had troubles, now it's the complete opposite. We get so much support. It's very, very encouraging. And this is not only at the provincial level, I use that as an example, it's right down all levels of government. And it's full credit, I think, to the regulatory reform, the investment openness that the government's trying to promote. I did highlight before about community development. It's something that we're very proud of. It's something that we've been doing since we started exploration. It's something that we expand and improve upon every year. And I'd certainly say that's an incredibly important thing. What's also changed for us, and I did present that timeline before, is on the right side of the graph there, you see geography and access, geotechnics, communication and infrastructure. We've noticed, certainly over the last 3 years, a considerable improvement in things like capacity, capability, and infrastructure. And this has filtered out to the regions. We're not in the most populated area of the country. I could give the example about how now we are able to, what is quite a remote site, able to get fiber optic cable to our site. All our drill rigs, which are located right up in the mountain, now have Wi-Fi access, internet access. We get live data coming from our drill rigs. 5 years ago, we could never, ever have imagined this. So it's quite an impressive improvement, and something that you can see the visible change, the visible improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could move to the next slide, I've given you the briefest of snapshots and the briefest of overviews, and I could talk quite extensively, much longer, about STM and the WHO project. There will be time for questions, and I'm happy to answer any of those questions. I'd just like to say, certainly from our side, we are very much upbeat on the outlook in Indonesia, and certainly the last 24 months has been a real change, both in terms of investment support in Indonesia, support from the likes of DGMC, but all the way, not only DGMC, but all the way down the various levels of government. We are also very much upbeat, I know, certainly on the Vale side of the joint venture, with regulation number 96, which has recently come out, like more favourable divestment provisions. It certainly provides the company or the joint venture a lot more, I guess, confidence in the project and confidence to invest. Our comment, there's no secret in what I'm saying, is that we certainly would welcome this to continue. We think that there's enormous potential in Indonesia. I've certainly shared this with Pa Andri many times, and we'd love to be a partner in that process. But I just, from our point of view, from STM, I'd certainly say thank you to DGMC because they've been very, very good partners to us, and a regulatory authority who's been very, very willing to support us whenever we've come across the usual occasional issues that you encounter. With that, Dan, I'd like to say once again, thank you for moderating, Pahendra. Thank you for the opportunity, Pa Andri. I very much appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bay. That was a very interesting and informative explanation of your project. Hu'u is probably the most significant discovery in Indonesia since Grasberg, and it is going to be a monster. I have a question before we move on to our next speaker. How do you feel? I mean, big companies, many of them have left Indonesia, but Vale has stayed. What were the considerations that you put into deciding to move the Hu'u deposit forward, which is going to require a huge capital investment? Was there much discussion about the Indonesian mining climate in the Vale top management?
That's a very good question, Dan, and I'll answer it very honestly, that those discussions did come up probably 2 years ago. Recently, those discussions have, I don't encounter those issues when I'm talking to executives in Toronto or Brazil anymore. There is a general concern or question regarding some uncertainties in regulations, but they're natural that you would have, of course, I'm from Australia, you can hear my accent, that you would have in Australia or other jurisdictions. And so your natural question after that would be why? And I would say that it's probably based on 2 or 3 things. One is, I go back to as I said, I'm trying to describe something tangible that's intangible. The change in dealing with or engaging with regulators, that there is a lot more tangible, meaningful support for your investment. Okay, so that's one thing. One is that the second thing is we don't encounter the permitting issues or the licensing issues that we previously may have 3, 4, 5 years ago. The third thing is probably as importantly is that the relationships that we've developed with government, and again, I don't just focus on DGMC, I say all levels of government have improved considerably. Is it those separately? No, it's all of those together that I would say have enabled myself and certainly my team to be able to communicate to our executives, but not only being able to communicate, but being able to show them, look at this, like this is what we've done. This is how we've done it. And so, yeah, it's not stories that win over executives or convince them to stay. It's actually examples that do it. And we haven't got one example. We've got a library of examples built up over the last 3, and I would say it's probably 3 years, 2 or 3 years, but we've got a library of these just that provide really good evidence and that's convinced the company to stay.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think that's one of the most important things I've heard about the Indonesian mining industry in a long time. As many people may realize, Westerners tend to have a morbid preoccupation with certainty in contracts, and Indonesians tend to more emphasize the relationship and the good faith between the parties. And having a major mining company commit to a huge capital investment in Indonesia is a ringing endorsement. So thank you very much for that. Pa Iqbal has rejoined us. I'd like to ask him if he would like to do his presentation now, and we'll hope that our connection stays on. I would also, if I drop out through the miracle of telecom, I am going in and out of these presentations, so if I drop out, you'll know why. I hope I can stay in. Pa Iqbal, silakan.
Pak Dan, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Pa.
Okay. I'm sorry before for the connection. Good morning, Pak Konjen. Good morning, Pak Konjen, ladies and gentlemen. And good morning to all speakers. Thank you so much once again for today's opportunity for me to share especially in mining and metal industry. Pak Konjen, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to send a regret from my deputy, our deputy chairman for investment planning, Pak Nurul, cannot join us today. So I am from Indonesia Investment Promotion Center in New York. IAPC New York is a government arm of Indonesia Ministry of Investment to facilitate a foreign direct investment from the Americas to Indonesia. So to begin with, I will share the latest update about investment realization in Indonesia this year. As you can see from the slide, from January to September 2021, Indonesia recorded additional 45.2 billion of investment, US dollar, growing at 7.8% year on year. And both foreign and domestic direct investment. You can see the slide, creating almost 1 million new jobs for the people, and this is good news. And next, so in terms of FDI source, United States ranked number 7 with the total $1.3 billion, and Canada, the position is number 19, is $100 million, while most FDI came from Singapore and Hong Kong as business hubs in Asia. And next slide, in terms of investment sector, mining and metal industry and this stable and for a long time, with the total investment of the investment, $22.3 billion and $4.9 billion. Domestic direct investment also has a good investment appetite into the mining and metal sector, which rank number 8 and 12. Domestic direct investment contributes additional $1.3 billion to mining sector and $703 million to metal sector. Next. Since the enactment of the mining law in 2009, which obliged mining companies to carry out, to bring out mineral processing and refining in extremely increasing. In this case, foreign investment plays an important role for the investing in mining and metal industry. And their contribution has increased from an average of 44% in 2005 to 2009. And this has happened before, before law number 4, 2009, to an average to the first semester of 2021. Next. This data shows the impact of mining law to nickel downstream industry. Since 2014, the downstream nickel industry has been growing much higher than nickel or mining. I mean, this is related to the ban on nickel or exports. Next, on the mining reserve side, including gold, nickel, bauxite, copper, tin, and also iron. And of course, with the regulation support, from our central government, we are very optimistic that the investment climate next slide. If we compare to other countries, Indonesia has the top 5 of total investment value in mining metal industry, totaling almost $40 billion after China, Australia, India, and Canada. Next. And the mining and metal investment project also spread out across the country. You can see from the Sumatra to Sulawesi, and currently now smelters to develop right now. Next. Indonesia top reserves in a bauxite. Yeah, Indonesia holds 4.7% of the world bauxite supplies that will last another 97 years until 2018. And next slide. And this is a tax incentive that we offer. Yeah. For the foreign investors to the business in Indonesia, including tax holiday and mini tax holiday, tax allowance, yeah, import duty exemption, super tax deduction, and also labor incentive tax incentive. And next slide. Tax holiday is the top, yeah, is the top-notch fiscal incentive that Indonesia investment Indonesia government can provide. Yeah, it provides 50 until 100% corporate income tax exemptions for 5 until 20 years for investment in finance industries. Next slide. There is a tax allowance. Yeah, this is a tax allowance. This is also one of our key incentive program that provides reduction of the corporate income tax by 30% of the investment value for 5 years. Yeah, for investment in certain business fields or regions. And next, for the import duty exemption incentive, yeah, for imports of for machinery and goods and materials for industry and service industries. Yeah, and this is the last. Yeah, this is the latest. Provides super tax deductions or net income tax deductions for investors that conduct apprenticeship or training for Indonesia workers and all research in the country. Next. Yeah, Ministry of Investment conducted about 23 feasibility study investment project. Is already to over profiles, and the projects are based on the major projects. Yeah, government priorities. Yeah. Next. And yeah, you can see, and these are the current strategic projects based on feasibility studies in 2021 and 2020. We have a wide range of projects. Nickel, cobalt, with really appealing high investment IRR or of 9 to 12% per annum. And yeah, we will be very happy to share with you more detailed information on. To conclude, Indonesia government is fully committed, yeah, to invite foreign direct investment and foreign companies to open their business in Indonesia. And of course, Ministry of Investment also willing to accommodate business needs and wishes, also to provide end-to-end service, yeah, to do business in Indonesia. So please do not hesitate. Contact us, IIPC New York. Pak Den, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Pak Iqbal, for your presentation. Before we move on to the next presenter, I had a question for Pak Iqbal. The government has become very much more open in sharing information with investors, including putting mining information online in two applications called Modi and I forget the other one. There's Modi and another one that gives mining information. In the slide that you show, yeah, not OSS. There's another Moni and Mauni. I'm not sure. I forget, but the mining information is available. My question to you was about the slide you showed about the rates of return, the IRRs of the various projects offered by the Indonesian government. Is there further information available about the economic models that were used to calculate those IRRs for investors?
Yes, sure, Mr. Dan. And ladies and gentlemen, we calculate these IR projects, yeah, because if you want to share this project, or we want to this project to the investors, yeah, we need to be clean and clear first. That's why, yeah, we also engage to give the details about this project information, including IRR. So the potential investor can, determine or calculate about in details about these projects. So, and this is very important.
Great, thank you very much. Well, for our final speaker today, I'd like to invite Pak provides investment services to private equity, individuals, startups, contractors, and other interested parties in the Indonesian mining sector. Pasani has a degree in mathematics from my alma mater, the University of Oregon. Go Ducks. Pasani, would you please make the concluding presentation?
Sure. Thank you, Dan, for the wonderful introduction. Before proceeding and starting, I just want to say thank you to Honorable Hendra Halim, the Consul General from Vancouver, Bede Evans, for sharing your experience in the Indonesian scenery for investors, and Pak Iqbal for also your presentation, and Pak Andri for sharing the incredible breakthrough that the government has done in the last couple of years. So since I'm the last speaker here, let me just quickly present and good morning to everyone, to our potential investors and to our speakers as well, and good night for those who are attending in Jakarta. As myself, it's actually a little bit past 1 a.m. in the morning here, so let's start. I'll just try to make this as quick and snappy as possible. So can everyone see my screen?
Very clear, Pak.
Okay. So before proceeding, I just want to highlight all the notes that has been pointed out by the previous speakers about Indonesia. We are currently one of the largest world-class deposits for gold, nickel, and bauxite. We produce about 5% of world gold production, which is equivalent about approximately 190 million gold ore tons, and was the largest producer of gold in the year 2019, taking the number 6 spot right after Peru. And in terms of nickel, we have the biggest nickel reserve in the world, and it is accounted for about 24% out of the 86 million tons of world nickel reserves, and is accounted for 4% out of the 30 million tons of bauxite world reserve as well. And as you heard from our previous speakers, the government is really pushing into making the environment and the ecosystem for foreign investors to come in a lot easier. I mean, you've heard about the regulatory changes that has been informed by our previous speakers. There's a lot of changes that has been happening in the last 24 months, including tax holidays, tax allowances, and then what's interesting for me personally, they have implemented centralized systems for permit licensing, for tax payment. Everything is centralized and it's online. What is this for? To make everything clear and clean, and above all, to make the experience equal for everyone, depending, it doesn't matter where the project is located, whether it's in Kalimantan, Sumatra, Sumbawa, Sulawesi, or every different islands that the project is located. The experience in terms of applying for permit, everything would be the same. And what another groundbreaking changes that the government has done is where previously it's not possible, now the transfer of permit and licenses between stages of mining is possible. Why is this done? To promote junior mining companies to do more explorations in Indonesia, and then once they've completed the explorations and their due diligence, then they'll be able to share it to bigger mining companies. So that being said, let me continue on. A little bit of brief and glance about Indonesia for those that's not experienced of what Indonesia is like. We are a growing economic country with a politically stable and maturing democracy. Our population is slightly above 272 million at the year 2020, so last year. And because of our geographic position, we're actually a gateway to the whole Southeast Asia. So we're talking about a population of about 650 million people, and currently the third world largest market. According to McKinsey and Company, we're estimated to reach the seventh largest economy by the year 2030. And out of that 272 million population, 2 out of 3 are in working age at an average age of 28 years old. So we have an abundance of working people and ready to help your investment here in Indonesia. Our economic growth is a stable 5% per annum, and we have more than $1 trillion of GDP and currently a member of the G20. Now, going next, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Sunny, and I am working for MKU Services on behalf of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources for the Republic of Indonesia. And at this moment, I'm very excited to be able to share with everyone here the potential investments that you can have for, I mean, it's categorized into 2 projects. One is mining projects, and the other one is refining projects. So going into the first category, mining projects, we have a total of, what is it, 6 blocks initially, but now only remaining 5 blocks. One is already taken, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for us, but unfortunately for you. So we have, let me see, this one is blocking. Pamatang project, these are all gold projects. So Pamatang project and Sandbar projects are located in West Nusa Tenggara. Both are privately owned company and are having financial constraint because of the pandemic in the last 1 or 2 years. And the government is trying to assist them in getting their production starting again. Now, as you can see here, you can see that the number of copper, gold, and silver, about 37, Pamatang block is has about 37 to 155 ppm in copper, and about 0.47 to 2.28 ppm for gold, and 15.2 to 517.6 ppm in terms of silver. Sandbar is slightly below, about 28 ppm in copper, 2.78 ppm in gold, and 185.1 ppm in silver. Now, the next two blocks that I'm about to show, Raja, as you can see in the slide, Raja block and Tanjung block, is a little bit more advanced in terms of the stage. So they already have the resource inferred numbers as well as the reserve. It is estimated to have a resource number about 15.1 million gold ore tons, with 0.2 to 1.0 ppm in gold. And in terms of the reserve is about 14.61 million gold ore tons, with 1.81 to 1.91 ppm in gold. Tanjung is the same stage. So they also already have the reserve and the resource inferred numbers, about 5.29 million gold ore tons, with 0.2 to 1.0 ppm AU, and then the reserve number is about 5.01 million gold ore tons, with 1.2 to 1.7 ppm AU. So Lodong block is slightly behind in terms of the stage. They have the about 0.1 to 0.51% in copper, and 0.16 to 0.84 grams per ton gold. Now, Pani is already sold. It has about 102 million gold tons in terms of resource number, and the reserve is about 29.8. So these are the mining projects that is in the market, that for those interested, feel free to contact me. I'll share my contact info via the chat later on. But before going into that, let me go on to the second category. This is about a little bit more downstream. So we have, as you heard by numerous speakers, that we have the biggest nickel resource in the world, reserve in the world. So that being said, we have 5 nickel smelter projects that is in the market, one located in Java Island, 2 in Sulawesi, 1 in Maluku, and then we have 1 coal to methanol project located in Kalimantan. So the one in Banten, these are all privately owned. As you can see the numbers there, the input for the one in Banten is owned by PT Smelter Nickel Indonesia, and the input is about 1.2 million ton nickel ore. The output is in MHP, so about 36,000 ton MHP. The one in Southeast Sulawesi is owned by PT Arta Mining Industry. The input is about 2 million ton nickel ore, and the output is in NPI, 200,000 ton NPI. And the one in North Maluku is owned by PT TK Mining Resources. The input is about 4.3 million ton nickel ore. The output is in ferronickel, about slightly above 260,000 ton, and 48,000 ton MHP. And a couple of projects in Central Sulawesi, one owned by PT Ang and Fang Brother. The input is 1.8 million ton nickel ore, and the output is about 130,000 ton ferronickel. And the other one is owned by Arta Bumi Sentra Industry. The input is about 1.8 million ton nickel ore, and the output is about 180,000 ton NPI. All these projects, if any of them are interesting to you, feel free to contact us in MKU Services, and we'll gladly help you navigate and even connect you directly with the project owners, where you can basically negotiate directly with them in terms of the investment and the schemes. Now, Pak Andri, a couple of days back, has just told us of this new exciting greenfield projects that will be in the market soon. So as you can see here, there's about 10 potential mining areas, 2 nickel mining areas, and all greenfield, Acera 1 and Acera 3, and then 1 galena mining area, Lubuk Mas. Lubuk Mas is located in South Sumatra, and we have 1 iron ore block located in Ulu Rawas. Ulu Rawas is also located in South Sumatra. Chromite block, it's located in Lenggora block. Lenggora is located in Southeast Sulawesi. And then we have 5 coal blocks, Baronang 1, Baronang 2, Piner, Tumbang Nusa, and Lane. These greenfield blocks are still in the works, meaning it's still waiting for the permit to go out. And as well, the secondly is they're still finalizing on the info memo for more detailed information on the greenfield. So that being said, these are the project. Let me remind you again, it is an exciting time for you to invest in Indonesia. We have tons of world-class reserves, and currently we have really good projects that you can invest in, some of which are actually already in 90% completion to production. So coming in at this stage would benefit all parties. And at the same time, you'll be part of the engine in terms of helping promote, not promote, but increase the economy for the Republic of Indonesia. So let me pass it back on to you, Dan. And I will send out my contact info in the chat box for those who are interested. Feel free to contact me. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks you very much, Paisani. That was very informative. I personally would like a copy of your slides. I think they're very interesting. I'd like to return to a question that was posed earlier about divestment. And I believe that Pa Andri had a bit more information about the divestment process he wanted to share with us. Is that correct, Pa Andri?
Yes, Dan. Okay, this question from Mark, right? Mark, are you still there? Okay, Mark. So let me explain about the gradual systems of divestment scheme, as is already stipulated in our new GR 96. As you can see here, that the divestment scheme is done gradually. It depends on the mining methods that you conduct. If you're doing the open pit, so the divestment starting from year of 10, which is with the number of 5% of shares has to be divest. And for the next year, and in the 11th year, should be more 5% should be divest. And in the last 15 year, that should be 21% should be divest. So in total, there will be 51%. And if you doing the open pit and then you refine domestically your minerals, the divestment scheme will be starting in the year of 15th. And the number is still the same. It starts from the 5% per annum. And then in the last 2 years, it's increasing from 10% and 21%. So in total, there will be 51%. And if you conduct the underground mining, as for example here, PT Sumbawa Utama Mining, which is Pak Bid already explained about the projects, they will be conducted by block caving. So they will be doing by underground mining. The scheme of divestment will be starting from the year 15. It's starting from the production space. So it's not starting from the permitting established, but it's starting from the productions. If you need some years for the construction, so it will not be counted. So that's why it's starting from the productions. And it will be start from the year 15 with the number of 5% of shares should be divested, and then continue to annual divestment 5% until year of 19, and then in the year 19 it will be divested 10%, and in 21%. So if you conduct also the downstream industries in domestic, the scheme of the divestment will be start in the year of 20, and it will be end at 21%, and at 25 years. So it will be come into the end of your permit actually. For example, you conduct the constructions, the permit will be giving 20 years, and will be have 2 times of extensions for each 10 years. So you have a 40 years actually. So then if you conduct the underground mining, so will be the 51% will be come in the end of your permit actually. So then it's not a, you can get the payback period, enough payback period, and also have enough the revenue from the benefit from your projects. I think that's Mark. If you have any questions, further questions, I would be more happy to answer.
Thank you very much for that. I would have further questions, but maybe better to do that on another moment.
All right, Mark.
Thank you for the information.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for answering that question. We have a bit of time left for a few more questions. If there's anyone who would like to forward a question in the group.
If we have time, could I continue, Dan, with my question to Andre?
Yes, please.
Sure, please.
If you have a gold project of, let's say, 12 to 15-year mine life, and you start divesting in the 10th year, to whom do you divest those shares, and would there be value in that for whoever is purchasing those shares?
Yeah, it's the divestment will be prioritized to the government first. Then if the government not interesting with your share, then the government will answering you will offering to the government first. The government will answering we will not interesting to your project, so then you can continue to offer to another parties. This another parties it continue gradually from starting from for the state-owned companies first. You're offering also to the state-owned companies if they are you give a we have a the state-owned companies have a several time to answering your offering. Then if they're not interesting, you can offering to the private. If they're not interesting to the private, so you can go to the you can go listing to in the stock exchange to offering the share to the public. And that's why this is a very fair mechanism, because the share is based on the market value, Mr. Mark.
And who would decide that fair market value?
First, if you already in the stock exchange, so you will have the price of your share, right? So based on that approach, or we also have some experts for the mineral valuations. We will evaluate your project based on the mineral valuations, and we will use the disconto approaches to count about the mineral value of your project.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
this is
very
very fair, right? Very fair mechanisms and very common mechanism. So,
is it therefore possible that if a project is not particularly attractive in the latter years of the project that maybe you just can't sell those shares to anybody. Is that a possibility, and would that be okay?
Yeah, it's possible, and it will be okay. Your obligation is to offer the divestments, since there are no parties who interested to your project. So your obligations is already done, right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, if there are no further questions, it's 1:36 a.m. here in Jakarta, and I think we could possibly close this 20 minutes early. If there, I'll give you one last chance for any questions. Okay, done. Well, our time's just about up, and I'd like to close this Zoom meeting by thanking our distinguished speakers today. This was very interesting. I'd like to thank the Consulate General in Vancouver and the Ministry of Energy and Resources and BKPM for being present on this call. And to everyone who attended, have a good day in Vancouver, and everyone in Jakarta, have a good sleep or stay up all night, whatever you'd like to do.
Thank you, Pak Den. Pak Den, may I make it a short word for everyone here?
Please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Den, for taking the floor for all of us. I think I do really appreciate it. And of course, my appreciation to all of speakers and also participants here. And I think despite we didn't have many audience from Canadian side, but my colleague in Ottawa and in Toronto and also New York and here in Vancouver, we are really keen to have such an event maybe in the future, but in the better format, better, I think, preparation. So that would be fantastic, because I myself, because as my jurisdictions cover like Alberta and also the Yukon and British Columbia, which I view that many potentials or maybe prospective investors. So it would be great, I think, to continue at least communications with MKU and with Pak Andri and also colleague from BKPM as well. And of course, thank you very much for your time. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Pak Hendra, and selamat malam kepada semuanya. Good night.
Selamat malam, Pak. Selamat istirahat.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Right.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Pak Bid,
Bye.
thank you very much, Pak Bid.
Thank you, Pak Andri. Thank you, Pak Hendra. Thanks, Dan.
How are you? Thank you, Pak.
Thanks a lot.
Pak Iqbal.
Andri.
Terima kasih banyak.
For your love.